Namaste, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jakara, and I'm a spiritual healing facilitator. And today I am live, kind of like random moment that I'm live because I wanted to have a conversation with y'all about an amazing event that I have coming up with three other amazing practitioners that are going to be coming together alongside with me on Sunday, this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be having a conversation about what does it mean to ground into your power. And so we're going to have this conversation just to kind of give you an understanding of what we're trying to do and the intention behind this event. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put here on the comments the link to the event in the meantime, so that if you want to join us, then you can join us on the event. It's going to be through, you can sign up through Meetup, and we're going to be meeting over through Zoom. So I see some people here. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. So excited that you're here. And then please feel free to share this or like this video, so that way more people know that we're live and that we're sharing this. So I'm going to bring in my three friends, Hannah, Dawn, and Maurice, into the space. Just bringing them in.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Super excited to have you all here. And this is kind of like the first time I have a full house in the in the screen. So it's really cool to have y'all here. And then all of you have been here individually, and so now it's so nice to have you collectively here. So I kind of wanted to start the conversation in regards to, what does it mean, for each one of us to ground into our power. Like, we really set this intention to share this event for people who are going through their spiritual awakening and to support them in their journey. And this is definitely all heart based, right? We all like really connected to our hearts, and we felt into this. And so I just kind of wanted to open up the space and the conversation for that. I personally feel that, grounding into my power has been a process, right? When I went into my own spiritual awakening, I was going through so much, and I'm still going through that awakening, right? Like, there's still so much more that is unveiling and that I'm discovering about myself in this beautiful journey that we're on. But I feel like I finally was able to ground into my power when I was in that essence of acceptance of myself, and being able to see myself also in the light, being able to see my own light. And so anyway, so I just kind of wanted to open up the conversation. Maybe we can just do popcorn style. Anyone that wants to come in and just share, what does it mean to you to ground into your power?
I like what you said about kind of coming into self-acceptance, because I think one of the things that disempowers us most is us taking on the ideas of other people, whether it's like parents or other people growing up, friends, that we aren't powerful, that we're weak, or that we're small, And I think probably one of the first steps in that is connecting, first of all, kind of recognizing who you are, and then kind of accepting it, and just walking in that direction. Because I feel like the more that we embody who we actually are, the more power that we have access to. Because you'll find that as much as we might think that we know about ourselves, that there's so much more. There's so much more, and it never ends. As you say, that the process is ongoing. So I think that's one thing, and I'll let other people talk, because I can feel myself wanting to go for 45 minutes.
It's okay. I can hear you talk for 45 minutes. All good. But yeah, so I totally agree with you in that. And so any other thoughts, Hannah or Dawn?
Yeah, definitely with that too. It's so much too about just trusting yourself and your inner knowing, your intuition, because it can be so confusing and almost turbulent. And so being able to trust what you're feeling and trust what you're knowing, and like knowing your self-worth almost too seems like a big part of it. Like when you're feeling more grounded and sure of yourself, it helps you navigate this better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like, for me, it while you were talking, Jakara, I was like, wow, like grounding for me was always like a massive issue. I was really ungrounded. I was always like up in the spheres and also like really dissociative, you know, or disassociating. I never really sure how to say it in English. But yeah, completely. I was diagnosed with depression and with ADHD. And I think a huge part of this ADHD that I was like, you know, like everybody has their own definition. And but for me, a huge part of that was just me disassociating and also being super empathetic and being on complete overload all the time because I had no boundaries. But so like for me, this like I totally agree with what you already said, with what you already said, but yeah, it was like literally like really getting grounded like on this planet in my body, like being in connection and to really come down on earth from wherever it was that I, yeah, or like to also like to pull the soul more into more into my body. So I'm also not done yet. But I'm way more like, it's like I'm way more present, like also presence, you know, like that's like one of the most famous words when it comes to spirituality. Presence, everybody's talking about it. And that's like, yeah, I'm way more present, I think, with myself and with other people and nature and everything that is going on here. So I thought that was kind of funny. I never thought about it, but while you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, kind of almost like literally.
Yeah. And I really connect to what you're saying. You mentioned, you were dealing with depression, and I've dealt with anxiety, and we are in the month of May, which is, we're kind of bringing that awareness of mental health, which is such a big part of this journey of self healing for a lot of us. Like I know I come from a background where mental health wasn't necessarily like looked at, or maybe there's like a taboo, like in my country, like in South America. It's right now I haven't been in South America for a while, so I don't know how it is right now, but when I was growing up there, it was kind of like that taboo, and then so it took me to move here to the US for me to be able to kind of you know like recognize that, oh, like this is a part of me that needs tending to as well. And then in that journey of connecting to my mental health and realizing, oh, but I'm also spiritual, and so and I'm an energetic being, and so like kind of coming into this like awareness of like, yeah, I'm the body, and and I'm also the mental, and I'm the spiritual, and then, oh, okay, so they're all interconnected, and kind of coming into that awareness. And and it is an ongoing journey, kind of like you were saying, Hannah. Like for me, I'm still working on grounding myself, right? Like I love to exist in the mind too. So I exist a lot in the mind and the ethers a lot. And so I have to like remind myself, like, hey, like you are on earth. And even Nicole is saying here, she's saying dissociating is easy to do. And it's so true, it's so true sometimes, especially when there's like very heavy emotional baggage that we can carry from past experiences and even past lives, which is some of the things that we're going to be addressing with the Akashic clearing that I'm going to be doing, which is a lot of times we're connecting to these energies that are really connected to the collective too. Like that's another thing that can potentially affect us as well, is that we don't even realize how much we pick up from just being in the being part of the collective. And then also how the collective itself has also a past life. The collective itself has a past life aspect to it. So like recognizing all these aspects, I feel that's what I'm so excited about, doing this, is that when we can see ourselves in all of these perspectives, knowing that that there is a way out, and we don't have to be in that space all the time. But then also recognizing that, yes, like there's also support, kind of like what you're gonna do, Maurice, with the connection to the guides, the spirit guides, which I kind of wanted to kind of dive into that, because I feel that that's a really great way to connect to our power. It's to recognize that we have that power to connect to our guidance. So tell us a little bit about, how do you feel this can, affect positively people who are going to be coming to the event, and going to be receiving, that guidance and that beautiful journey that you're going to be doing for everyone.
So I think it was Dawn that mentioned like part of being in our power is trusting our guidance. And I think it's often assumed that our guidance, our own personal guidance, and then, for example, what we might call our spiritual guides are something separate when they really are one and the same. Because if you're trusting your guidance, you're also trusting your ability to receive information from your non physical team and spirit. And I mean, just to take that just a step further, is that like your guides, they aren't actually separate from you. The better way that I like to explain it is that they're kind of like a chunk of your own soul. And it's just easier for us to experience them as a dualistic thing outside of ourselves because we're humans and we all perceive each other as separate, but we're really not separate. So I think it's really important when it comes to when it comes to empowering yourself to be able to connect to your guides. So what I intend to do that day is I will lead you through a guided meditation, more of a kind of a group shamanic journey. And I will kind of take you by the hand and help you meet one of your guides in spirit. Whoever you meet that day is who you need to meet. I will not decide that for you. They decide that. And it'll
Mm.
be personal and it'll be individual for you. It'll be something unique for you. I'm actually quite interested to hear some of the feedback, if there's any, from what you receive, because there's been a lot of excellent results. I kind of do this kind of regularly, naturally, just guide people to meet their guides in spirit or other spirit beings. And I guess just one more thing about like, I think what you were saying, Hannah, is like the grounding thing, how this is something that's really important because in this spiritual community, this new kind of spiritual wave that's happening right now, many people want to ascend or get past their humanity. And it's like, that's not true spirituality to me.
Mm.
If you're truly spiritual, you're grounding that energy into your human experience. You didn't come here to be a ghost or to phase out of your body. You came here to bring that into your body. And as we ground more into our bodies act as the anchors of this spiritual work and this information. And so, yeah, I also think that this is an extremely important part of empowering ourselves. So, yeah. And yes, that's what I'll say about this my part. I'll let everyone speak on their part. I wanted to go off on everyone else's thing.
Yeah, so I love that. And it's so true, like the if we wanted to stay up in the ethers, we wouldn't have come down here in the first place. So the essence of like recognizing, hey, I am here to ground into my own power, like really like recognize that this is part of me, that is something that I can access anytime, that I have this ability to move through energies, and I have this ability to alchemize, and I have this ability to heal. And so yes, it does take effort and work. um However, it is so worth it, because when you get to the other side, once you go through that, whatever layer you're going through, is just so you feel that relief, right? You feel so much better afterwards. And I feel like that's one of the things. And I kind of wanted to tap into also the essence of the kind of like the dark night of the soul, right? Like, and I kind of wanted to bring in a little bit of that, and kind of have this conversation with Dawn, because I know that I know that you and I have spoken about this, and the whole concept of the void, and being in the space, and kind of like really being in this space, and kind of like living there, right, for a bit, and like getting almost like learning how to be comfortable with that space.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to ask you about to share like your wisdom and what you've been learning in that space, and what can you share for those who maybe are in that really heavy space at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's one of my favorite topics. That's, what I help my clients with is getting through that, because for me, that was the worst part of my journey. And I'm still there at times, I'm not fully out of it, but it can be really confusing. It can feel hopeless, you feel stuck. And sometimes numb, sometimes like full of despair. It just, you range from all these emotions, but none of them are ever good or high or happy. And one of the biggest things that I've learned is having to accept the space that you're in and surrender to it. And once you start to embody what you're feeling, even when it's uncomfortable, and ground into that aspect of it, the easier it is, because the more you resist it, the harder it is, which I learned the hard way time and time and time again. That resisting it is really not the way to go. There's a way of embracing it so that you're able to navigate it, because you do get to the other side. It's not, you know, that's not the end of it all. You do get to the other side, but it's how you work through it, that helps you get to the other side of it.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're saying about the resisting part, because that is so true. Like what you resist persists, right? And and I feel like everyone, it's a journey. So everyone's gonna the I guess decide when they're ready to just let go and allow themselves to lean in. But one of the things that I've noticed is that when I lean into those spaces, it's easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done to say, oh, lean into the resistance, lean into the uncomfort, lean into the pain. It's hard because like that's what automatically your ego wants to avoid, right? So you're gonna, like, it's kind of like a whiplash type of effect that sometimes happens there. But I feel that the more we practice that, I feel like it's a practice, right? The more we practice, the easier it gets, and the more connected we can feel. And I feel like that there's also so much wisdom that we can access in those spaces too, that most likely we wouldn't have accessed if we wouldn't have done that leaning into that void, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I just thought also, like, when we were like talking about dissociating and grounding into this earth and stuff, this, like, and what Dawn was sharing about starting to feel the emotions and stuff. Of course, I mean, it's really super important to actually know how to do that, right? So in order not to get completely overwhelmed, especially if you're like dealing with severe trauma or something like that. So
Right.
that's like kind of like also like one of the reasons, or like one of the intentions for our event, to give tools, or like to like support, so people know how to do that and how to support themselves. So, and the dissociation is, of course, like, that's a defense mechanism from the body, because it is overwhelmed with that and does not have the tools and doesn't know what to do with these emotions. And so you just get out of the body, because that feels so much nicer. I mean, or it doesn't feel, actually, because it's a numbing as a process.
Right.
But what I also like just want to share, because I recently was also in a very, very stressful situation, because Jakara said, like, it's like going to be easier, and I totally agree with that. But sometimes we also find ourselves in situations, and I wanted to get into the feeling, and I was not able to do it. And I was continuing to, like, move this topic through my mind, and of course that's like not where the magic happens, unfortunately. So I was just like rambling on, and like, but I was frustrated and stuff. And I was reaching out to a friend. She also like does a lot of trauma work, and I was asking her, like, do you have like any idea what to do about it? I'm really trying to get into the emotions, but I can't reach them. And she said, and she was so right. She was like, you're in a state of constant stress right now. You're in a situation where you do not feel safe. That means your nervous system is on overload and on alert the whole time. You're in constant fight or flight mode. You cannot access your emotions in that kind of state. And I was like, so true. Totally makes sense. So sometimes we also need to get into a safe space. Or then not sometimes. That's actually like one of the most important things. I think, like, to create or to get oneself into a literally safe space, or to create a safe space. in order to access these things or to, yeah, to get to work.
Mm, I love what you're saying because it's so true. Like even personally for me, when I left my ex-husband, and that was a traumatic event for me because there was domestic violence involved. And so I didn't really get to access my emotions when I moved into my own apartment, and I had this like feeling of safety. Like I quite literally went into this cocoon. I was almost like nesting. I started like decorating my space and like creating like that safe space for myself. And then when I did that, that's when I was able to tap into so much within myself and allow myself to emote. So that is so true. The other thing I wanted to mention too, which is personal too, I just started going to the gym, and so I have a love hate relationship with the gym for many reasons, and so it's a mental health thing. Now I'm starting to realize this now, because of past traumas and stuff of that nature, and so I was moving my body in a way that I haven't done in a while, right? Like I was stretching, and so we were stretching the hips, and it is known that the hips carry a lot for the women and the shoulders for the men. And so I was stretching my hips, and I quite literally felt the wave of emotion come through. And then I had to cry on my way back home in the car. And it wasn't necessarily like a bad thing. Like I actually saw it as a beautiful thing because I was able to release so much. But obviously I was able to find a space where I felt comfortable enough. The person, the teacher that I'm working with, she's very aware, about all of the energetics and everything. So I actually had her on my channel. Her name is Tatiana, and so she's a health coach. So like, because I felt safe with her, I think I was able to allow myself to emote, and she even encouraged it, right? And so I feel that that those safe spaces that we can go to, the more we can go to those places that we can feel heard and received with unconditional love, I feel is so important. And I know for all of us, we that's the intention as well for the event on Sunday, is for you to have a space where you can feel like you can just really allow your emotional body to move through, and feel that relief, alongside with the energetic support that we're going to be um, you know providing there. So yeah, so anyway, so I have someone that was saying on, and I can't see your name because it says Facebook user. So if you're coming from Facebook and you want me to see your name, I need you to go into the description at the end. There's going to be like a little link that will allow me to see your name. So for now, Facebook user, I'm so sorry that you're having such a hard time right now. And this person is indicating that they are dealing with self-loathing, and I can completely relate to that. And so I just kind of wanted just to share my heart with you, and hopefully you can come to our event on Sunday and receive some support so that you can move some of that energy out of your system and be able to move from that space into a little bit more of a homeostasis, and of course continue to speak positively to yourself. I know it's hard, when we're in that space. It's hard, but it's possible. I promise you, it's possible. I have personally a little piece of paper on my on my not on my windows, on my mirrors, and I have the following thing. It says, "I accept and love myself unconditionally right now." And I look at it, and sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit like, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror, or this and that, I just look at it, and I say, okay, I'm going to read this, and I'm going to say it to myself. I'm going to look at myself in the mirror, and I'm going to hug myself, and I'm going to kiss myself, and just take that moment to like nourish myself. So hopefully that will help you. Hi, Anastasia. Yay. Awesome. Yes, please come. Please come. Anastasia was actually I met her at an ayahuasca ceremony last year. So that's awesome. Yay. I hope that you can make it. So yeah. So anyway, I see Nicole was mentioning something about people like me who are trying to let go of the past struggle to keep the heart open. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to keep your heart open after a heartbreak. It took me a lot of reflection, and I feel like with everyone here that, who is um, who is part of this event, all of us have done that work, right? That self-reflection work, and keeping our hearts open can be hard sometimes.
Actually, I will not get into the story because it's a big story, but part of my spiritual awakening process, or also like another dark night of the soul, not as dark as the first one, the big one, but also was like getting my heart ripped open. So I was like, oh my god, and I was like with an open heart for like, I think like a little more than half a year, like maybe 9 months. Let's just say 9 months.
Oh, me too.
And I'm not sure. That was something. I was like kind of like forced from the universe to experience how that is and how that feels. And it felt really, really good, but it felt also it was a lot. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a lot, and I think that's the reason why we were coming together to do this in the first place, is because we all know it's not an easy thing to do on your own. I mean, I wish I would have had more support when I was going through it. I'm sure we were all talking about this, right?
Yeah,
Before
I think
this.
we've all had to like all of us who are here right now have had to like rip ourselves up off the floor after kind of like like series of dark nights of the soul. So I think we're like more than qualified to help people. Incidentally, more than qualified to help people do that for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like also like being able to encourage you to see yourself reflected on us, to see that, listen, like we're here, we're sharing with you our journey. We've been through it in our own unique way. Of course, everyone has been through it in their own unique way. But it's almost like that encouragement of like, hey, it's possible, right? It's possible to get through this. And then again, it's ongoing work. I cannot express that enough because I know I am a work in progress still. And so but that doesn't mean that we don't get to share our light with others, share whatever we've learned so far with others that are, going through it as well. So but yeah,
Yeah.
so I just kind of wanted to, I guess, any parting thoughts that any of you want to share about, about grounding into our own power, or any encouragement that you would like to share here for everyone that is watching this or on the replay.
Well, I like what you said just now about like how, because I think it's kind of misconstrued that one must achieve some sort of mastery before we can share our light with people.
Mm,
And that's not at all the case. There's just something that we have for everybody. We all have medicine along the way, and we can just keep going and keep progressing and keep getting brighter and more adept. And yeah, so just kind of encouragement for people who think that like, oh, I'm not worthy. No, you're worthy now. You're worthy right now. All of us who are here have all thought, wow, we can't. I can't talk to people. I can't give people advice. Who am I to give people advice? That's never the case. You'll find out. Also, I should probably mention, which you might have mentioned, or maybe you might have mentioned later, Jakar, but the if you had tried to sign up before and tried to go through the payment option, there was an error with it that has since been fixed. So if you are listening to this and you've tried before, go ahead and try again. It works now.
yeah, thank you for that. I completely forgot to say that. I appreciate you, Will. This is why, like, teamwork. Woo. Yeah. So sorry, y'all. When I created the event on Meetup, everything was fine. Like, but thank you to Kai. If you happen to watch this on the replay, or you're watching this now, thank you so much for reaching out to me and letting me know that there were some issues with it. So it took that message yesterday. I just received it yesterday, and then I tried, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's the same error that she's getting. So I just kind of want to well, first of all, apologize to everyone that happened. I don't know what happened. I think it was just like a glitch or something. So I deleted the event. And so if you saw the old event and you're not seeing it now, it's because it's a new link. So I posted the link, and I'm going to post it again here on the comments. There's a new link available, and we just updated the links in our bios as well on Instagram and all that good stuff. So and I will probably be sending out a message out to everyone meetup as well, just so that just kind of like, reiterate the fact that, there was an error message happening, the payment option or whatever. So that's been fixed so that you can safely pay, and it's through PayPal, by the way. So it'll be safe, it's safely through Meetup and PayPal. So anyway, that's all I have. I feel complete. Is there anything else that anyone else wants to share before we part?
I think I'm good. Although, I will add one more thing in line with the conversation we were having, that it's really important when you're going through this right now to be compassionate with yourself and not be so hard on yourself based on some of the comments and what has come up. That's one of the biggest things that I'm still learning through this. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I also was thinking about that. So thank you for saying that. Because we were kind of like also talking about, like grounding into your power and presence, and
Mhm.
and we all, and in a way, we already mentioned everything. But it's like about like presence, true presence, being truly presence. Also, for me, equals love, like unconditional love. So that is also self-love. So if you judge yourself for not being where you think you should be, which I did a lot and still do, to be completely honest. So, and I did this a lot. And, or if you try to push yourself because you think you need to work harder or do more, um, or whatever it is, like it's actually the opposite of presence, and therefore also the opposite of healing. So being in a place of true acceptance, and that is, like it's a almost want to say game. It's a process. It takes practice. I think Maurice said it, or it takes practice. So also with that, yeah, don't be too hard with yourself. Or if you judge yourself, also be not too hard. Don't judge that you're judging yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a process, and we all went through that, and we are all still moving through that, and we will probably do that until the day we die. And that's fine. It's like always coming back to that moment of self-love, and to that moment of presence, and that, to me, that is healing. Presence, true presence, is healing.
I felt that in my heart. I felt that so much. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you so much. I receive it fully in my heart. And yes, let's not go into judging Inception, right? I'm judging myself because I'm judging. And I'm like, what? That's happened to me. I have to say it gets messy very quickly.
It does. It's messy, and that is okay too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I felt that so much in my heart. So thank you so much. Well, so I just feel into the space, and I kind of want to invite you, if you're watching this in the replay or now, just take a moment, just to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's just take a moment just to be present with ourselves in honor of this invitation to connect with your power. Just really connecting. If you can close your eyes at this moment and just think about one thing that makes you happy and joyful, just one thing. It can be anything. It can be your pet, or it can be, your favorite tree in your park, or anything, just anything. And with that presence, feeling to your heart with this invitation that we're bringing forward towards you, to really feel into this space of receiving so much healing and support, coming into a safe space. This is what we are bringing forth for you. It's a safe space for you to come in and heal and feel supported, seen, feel loved, feel witnessed, feel encouraged, and walk out with the essence of harmony in your essence, in your body, in your spirit, in your soul. And with that, feeling with that, just coming back into your body, coming back into your awareness here, And now we say goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
spending this time with
you.
us.
Thank
I
you,
love
everyone.
y'all.
Love
Bye.
you. See you. Bye
Bye.
bye.